Hello friends, welcome to Veranda CA. Let us begin with a quick revision of chapter number 5 relating to core banking solutions. If you're ready, let's get started. So, as you're all aware that we are day in and day out interacting with the banks, alright, how are we doing that? Directly or indirectly? Either we go to the branch or we open our apps and directly do banking transactions, or we enable transfer of money. For example, you're going out to eat chaat, pani puri, samosa, yeah, and today is the world of digital currency. So what you do is you'd like to transfer it through a quick scan the QR code, and in a lesser than a second the amount is transferred to the other bank account and you get a notification, right? So we are dealing with banking services. Now this banking services has an entire process flow attached towards it. So as auditors, it is important that we understand the entire flow of transactions in a banking industry. Entire flow of transactions. Why do we need to understand that? Because of the volume of transaction that's been happening. Every day, every individual of the country is linked to the banking industry. So in that case, you can imagine the volume of the transaction, and when the volume is so high, the auditors need to transact something or audit something or validate something which is quite enormous in size. Now when they have to validate that, they have to understand how are the systems working. If the system is working fine, the reports will be fine. If the system is not working with adequate controls or does not have adequate controls, then the reports that are produced by the system are not going to be correct. And it is important that banking do show correct reports, because it is the money of the public. It is yours and mine money which is there in the bank, and this money is rotating in the circle. So the growth of every economy depends on the banking industry in a major significant way, right? So the key factors that made Indian banks compete globally. What are the key factors that made Indian banks compete globally? So we have the information technology, IT. You see, we've also seen in our chapter number 3 on and chapter number 2 how new IT is coming in, new technologies are coming in, and this technology is seeping in through the mobile phones and accessible to everyone. So because the information technology is so robust, 4G, 5G and constantly updated, it is imperative that we need to know the banking transactions, and this is one of the factors why Indian banks are going global. Internet penetration. Earlier, data used to come at a higher cost, but nowadays data is very cheap. So when data is very cheap to data as in the internet connection that we get on our phone, that data. Yeah, so that data we get it at a very less amount. So in that case, internet is accessible by everyone. So everyone, instead of, so even outside the coconut wala's stall, even outside some small juice shop, you would see the QR code, as in you can scan and make the payment. So in that case, internet is going through even small vendors, leave alone the big massive players or vendors in the industry. So in that case, everyone is moving to the digital arena. Government reforms. Government is coming up with so many schemes in order to encourage people that come open bank accounts, come open bank accounts. Yeah, we had Jan Dhan Yojana. It was a record-breaking scheme with so many participants in a single day. So government reforms are encouraging people to get linked into the banking framework. There is no individual that would be left outside the banking framework. Everyone, be it the domestic help, be it the security guard, be it anyone, yeah, they would love to have a bank account, because it gives a space to save money, and all the money that is there is properly, it can be viewed properly. Financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is the point that everyone is linked in this banking world. Everyone is linked in this banking network. So we have information technology, internet penetration, government reforms. Government is encouraging people to open bank accounts. They are saying that zero savings account, yeah, zero limit savings account, financial inclusions. So because of these features, the banks have so many customers, and when you have so many customers, the quality of your service needs to be excellent. When the quality is very good, you're able to even compete in the global market. Key features of banking business. Key features of banking business. Large volume of monetary items. Large volume of monetary items. Large volume of data in number, value and variety of transactions. Large volume of data in the terms of number, value and variety of transactions. So we have derivatives, we have trading, we have government securities, we have treasury bills, we have checks. So the variety of transactions are also enormous and the value of the transaction is also very high. Wide network of branches. During demonetization, you would have realized that in every street there is at least one branch of a bank. So imagine so many number of streets and so many branches of the banks. Next is fraud. So in order to protect from fraud, they need to have security, and this security needs to be there at an all-pervasive level in the bank. So there needs to be security at different levels in the bank. Multi-point authentication check and high level of security, very high level of security. Okay, now these are the major functions of a bank. Number one, or the primary function of any bank, is acceptance of deposit and granting of loans. Acceptance of deposits and granting of loans. What do I mean by acceptance of deposit? Now people can come and open up their savings account, their fixed deposit or their term deposit with my bank, and in return they keep their money stashed with me, and in return the banks give them a certain rate of interest, say 4% or 5%. Okay, and granting of advances. On the other hand, they use this money to give loans to people who may need the money for their business purposes or for their personal purposes. So these loans are dispersed to the public on the receipt of interest. So I give the loans to the public and the public pays an interest to me, say around 10% or 11%. So this difference between 10% and 4%, the 6% is my spread or my income. This is the income or the primary source of income that the bank is earning. Apart from that, they have commissions and other incomes, but this interest income is the primary source of income for a bank. Next is remittances. What is the meaning of remittances? Transfer of funds from one account to another account. So banks provides the platform to have RTGS, NEFT, NEFT, and then I have my IMPS. I have all these facilities or ways to transfer money from one account to another account. Collections. Banks help in collecting the checks, collecting payments on behalf of the customers. Clearing. Okay, banks have this clearing system, electronic clearing system, ECS. Okay, now through this clearing system, they help in transferring of funds or clearing or settling accounts. ECS, electronic clearing system, electronic clearing system. In ECS, we have two types of ECS. One is ECS credit and second one is ECS debit. So when I say ECS credit, one single account is credited and multiple accounts are debited. One single account is credited. For example, when we pay fees to ICI, say examination fees we pay to the institute. So ICI's account is credited and so many students' accounts are debited. That is the example of ECS credit. We can think of many more examples as well. Yeah, where one account is credited and many accounts are debited. Take for example payment of LIC premium. LIC premium. So many account holders' account debited and LIC's account is credited with the premium amount. ECS debit, where one account is debited and multiple accounts are credited. One account is debited and multiple accounts are credited. For example, payment of salaries. One account debited and so many employee accounts are credited. Payment of dividend by a company. One account debited, so many accounts credited. Clear? So two types of clearing systems. We have ECS credit and ECS debit. So acceptance of deposit, granting of loans, credit card Yeah, banks provide the credit card facilities, debit card facilities. Here they have an entire process flow around this issuance of cards. And other banking services include back operations. Back operations is where the back office of a bank, which handles all the operations of the bank. It says it keeps a record of the customer data. It does risk management. It has credit team, legal team, valuation team, all these teams. Next is retail banking. Retail banking is almost like personal banking or over-the-counter banking. I can go to the bank and interact with them for, say, getting a loan or opening of deposits, opening of an account. Yeah, retail banking. Next is high net worth individuals. High net worth individuals. Bank identify individuals with high amount of money, and they have some specialized services for them. For example, they have a relationship manager dedicated for HNIs, right? They have such services for high net worth individuals. Specialized services, risk management services. Bank also provides underwriting services, or it evaluates the credit ratio of a person. It evaluates the credit ratio of a person. Risk management services. Specialized services. What are the other specialized services? Loans. Yeah. Life insurance. Bank also engage in providing life insurance. Claims. Based on life insurance, you have claims. Underwriting. Checking the financial and credit worthiness. Financial and credit worthiness is the meaning of underwriting function. Non-life insurance. So there is life insurance, there is also non-life insurance, which means some general insurance. Yeah, say key man policy. You can take key man policy from a bank. You can take your fire insurance policy from a bank. Clear? And then insurance broking. They also link you to the main insurance companies. Now, what is a core banking system? What is a core banking system? C-O-R-E. C-O-R-E. Centralized online real-time environment. Centralized online real-time environment. Okay. Why does it say the word centralized? What is the meaning of centralized? Earlier, banking services were decentralized. There were branches in parts of the country. There was a branch in Haryana. There was a branch in Assam. There was in Guwahati. There was a branch in Tamil Nadu. Yeah, Chennai. So, like that, branches were there in different locations, and they used to maintain their own accounts. And after a stipulated time frame, they used to send their accounts to the head office for consolidation. But nowadays, it doesn't happen that way. It is one common database for all the thousands of branches that a bank may have. One common database. Centralized online. Why is it online? Because the changes to the database, the centralized database, happens on a real-time basis. Online, and it is real time. So, if I am withdrawing money now from my card, will that be immediately reflected in the bank? Yes. If I am transferring money now through my UPI app to my friend, will that be immediately reflected in my account statement if I see it on my laptop? Yes, it will, because it is online and real time environment. Clear? Centralized online real time environment. Centralized system allowing the banks to scale up. So, because of this centralized online real-time scenario, the banks can scale up at a massive speed. So, you may know now that the top performing companies in India are the ones that consist of the banks, who are at the top of the chart. Better service delivery. They can provide customized services to the customers. They can provide very quick services to the customer, very nice interface where the customer feels like logging on to the website, feels like checking the balance or making a fund transfer through the online mechanism instead of dealing with cash. Increase in efficiency and effectiveness. Can be developed in-house or by third-party vendors. Earlier, smaller banks wanted to put only one part of their function in a core banking software. In that case, they would develop that by themselves, but nowadays, all the functions the banks like to have it on the core banking system app. So, core banking solution. So, in that case, they go to a third-party vendor, say a big IT provider like Infosys or Oracle, and they take the software from them. Example of core banking software, Finacle, it is by Infosys, it is developed by Infosys. Fin1, FlexCube is developed by Oracle, Banks and BankMate. Few sample examples of core banking softwares. Clear, guys? Yes. If yes, let's move on to the next topic, characteristics of core banking system. Characteristics. Here you got to be a little careful because there could be a question saying characteristics of core banking system, or there could be a question saying features of core banking system, features. So don't get confused. Characteristics is C for characteristics and C for common database. C for characteristics, C for common database. C for characteristics, C for common database. Okay, so it has a common database, it has a central server, it has a consolidated view of bank's operations. So characteristics are many points with starting with C. It is the customer is of the bank and not just the branch. If I have an account with branch in Mahatma Gandhi Street, yeah, does it mean that I have to go there to transact? No, I can transact from wherever I am. I could be in Singapore, I could be in Kashmir, I could be anywhere. So customer is of the bank and not just of my Mahatma Gandhi Street branch. Modular in structure. What is the meaning of modular in structure? Can be implemented in stages. Like how my ERP software. It was modular in structure where I could implement module by module. Likewise, my core banking system is also modular in structure. Advanced technology structure. Highly complicated technology structure in a CBS because you can understand it has to take care of so many functions. It has to take care of ATM, it has to take care of mobile internet banking, it has to take care of phone calls, it has to take care of direct banking, over the branch banking, so many channels of, it has to take care of so many branches, yeah, so many types of accounts. So because of the complexity in the transactions, definitely the technology also has to be a complex setup. Advanced or a complex setup, advanced technology structure, high standards of business functionality. They need to have very strong servers, very strong computer processing power. Integration with third-party applications. Branches are the delivery channels. So for every bank, the branches are the delivery channels. Okay, the banks perform through their branches. Soon we could have virtual branches. Yeah, clear. So characteristics of core banking, CC, common database, central server, consolidated view. Customer is the customer of the bank and not just the branch. It is modular in structure. The technology structure is very advanced. Integration with third-party applications, and branches are the delivery channels. These are the characteristics of the core banking system. Core features of core banking system. Okay, core features of core banking system. Online real-time processing. Online real-time processing. So the transactions are posted immediately and the database is updated simultaneously. If I am depositing 20,000 in my account right now and I withdraw 10,000 rupees, will that be reflected immediately in my database? Will my balance appear as 10,000 or will it still be 20,000? It will appear as 10,000 because 10,000 has been withdrawn. So database is updated simultaneously because transactions are posted immediately. Clear? Online real-time processing. Centralized operations. Centralized operations. Less operational cost. Less operational cost. Okay, imagine for the nature of transactions that happen in the banking environment now. Had they have to do it without a CBS, it would involve so much of paperwork, so much of going around here and there, so much of data to be shifted here and there, right? So in that case, I have now CBS, which saves my operational cost to a large extent. Reduction in errors. There has to be nil or very only acceptable level of errors in any core banking system. Anytime, anywhere access. Because of CBS, I can access my banking profile from anywhere and at any time. Remote interaction with the customers, daily, half-yearly and annual closing. Daily closing, half-yearly closing and annual closing. All the three are possible with CBS. Automatic processing of standing instructions. Can I tell my bank, hey bank, listen, On the 1st of every month, debit the rent from my account. Yes. On the 7th of every month, pay my electricity bill. On the 12th of every month, pay my insurance premium. Yeah. So the bank has to, based on standing instructions, comply with that, and that is possible because of the CBS software. Clear? Key modules of core banking system. Please be careful. First we did was characteristics with so many points with C, characteristics, then was key features. Few samples of key features of core banking. The third question we are doing is key modules of core banking system. Key modules of core banking system. It is an important question. Now, a central server is there. There is a back-end application and front-end application. Back-end and front-end application. You remember that we had studied this in our chapter 2, front-end and back-end difference. So, if the question is asking front-end and back-end alone, it will be the answer in question 2. It was domain expertise, language, speed, presentation. Yeah. Now, over here when they ask with relation to CBS, it is going to be this question. With relation to CBS, we have front-end applications, back-end applications. In front-end applications, we have A, B, C, D. So, A stands for ATM switch, B for back office, C for credit card system, and D for data warehouse. D for data warehouse. Now, these are the applications where customer does not interact directly with. For example, he interacts with the ATM, but the ATM interacts with the ATM switch. ATM interacts with the ATM switch. So, ATM switch, back office, C is for my credit card system, and D is for data warehouse. D is for data warehouse. Then I have my front-end applications due to which or through which I can interact with the bank. I interact directly with my mobile banking, internet banking, phone banking, and branch banking. So, wait, branch banking is I go to the branch and do it. Phone banking, I call up the branch number and I speak to the manager or I speak to the help desk. Clear? Phone banking. Internet banking means I use my laptop and use my web browser and log into the website. Okay. And mobile banking. What is mobile banking? Through my app, through the mobile, through the app, I log into the banking system. Okay. So, what is the difference between website and app? Website is on the laptop and app is specifically designed for the phone. Clear? ABCD and mobile, internet, phone, branch. Now, what does my ATM do? It is an electronic banking outlet which gives me access to debit and credit card. It's a self-service module. It helps me in depositing money, transferring money from one account to another, withdrawing money, and even payment of bills, and also payment of bills. Back office, admin and support personnel, it is not back office is not client facing because only the branch office is client facing. Back office is not client facing. They have the functions of settlement, clearance, regulatory compliances, maintaining records. All these are the back office functions. Monitoring employee conversations to check if they are not dealing in any forbidden securities. They need to monitor employee conversations, right? Credit card system. Credit card customer and account management. Okay. Online authorization of bank cards. Support in payment application. Data warehouse. Data warehouse. It is where the entire data of the bank is stored. So, simplify and standardize the way to collect data. Using my analytics tools, I can simplify and standardize the way that I want the data to appear in my data warehouse. It gives me one version of the truth. One version of the truth. Take care of difficult data management, large quantity of data. I need to ensure that it is accurate. What is the thing that connects the back end with the front end? What is the main component that connects the back end to the front end? Is the central server. Is the central server. It does end of the day processing and okay. Earlier it used to do end of the day processing. The central server, earlier it used to do end of the day processing. At the end of every day it would update the accounts. But now it happens on a real time basis. Now it happens on a real time basis. Next, the front end would be my internet banking, mobile banking, phone banking and branch banking. Very simple. Key functions of a branch. What are the key functions of a branch? Not a bank, of a branch. They need to maintain documents, customer documents. They need to do end of the day activities, beginning of the day activities, internal authorization in case they want to sanction a loan. Yeah, the customer is going to walk into them and they need to get authorizations for that. Reviewing of reports. Okay. So, maintain documents, EOD, BOD, internal authorization, review of reports. Maintaining documents, EOD, BOD, internal authorization and review of reports. Key functions of a branch. One important question here is technology components in CBS. Technology components in my core banking solution. Okay. So, if you can see, there is the bank app. Okay. There is the user. He has to the CBS, and then there is a firewall, and then there is the internet connection. So, how I have to link all of this together in order to provide services in a very effective way to the customer. Okay, so technology components in CBS, our code word is ABCDF. Okay, A stands for application environment. B, backup and disaster recovery data center. Then I have C for my cyber security. D is for my database environment. And F is for my fraud and risk management. Okay. Application environment. Now the C is for cyber security. This has been amended by ICAI. So be extra careful while you are studying this point. Application environment helps in posting entries that be reflected in the central database. So application environment is nothing but my entire, I have the HDFC app that is linked to the core banking system. So that entire environment where my CBS is updated, my the customer is able to log into the browser, do a transaction, simultaneously the database is updated. So that entire transaction in the environment is a part of the application environment. It hosts application servers which can be accessed through the firewalls. I can access my application servers through the firewalls. Okay, we've studied firewalls in chapter 3. Backup and disaster recovery data center. I need to have proper manuals for DRP. Suddenly if there is a disaster, the banks cannot be dysfunctional. They have to function immediately. Alternate connectivity, employee mock drill and training. Need to ensure that there is proper training and mock drill for the employees. Cyber security, newly added by ICI. Cyber security framework prescribed by RBI. We will see that in detail. Database environment stores, D for database, ABCDF. D is for database environment. Stores all the data of the branches. Customer masters, it has to be very secure. Fraud risk management. I have to check my risk appetite. I have to bring controls in place so that my risk is reduced to an acceptable level. Effective monitoring is required, and for banks have a list of regulatory compliances that they have to follow. Okay, it's not just 2 or 3, it's a list of regulatory compliances from RBI, from the government, yeah. So, a list of regulatory from income tax department. Okay, now we are going to see cyber security framework, key features of cyber security framework. First is, now these are by RBI guidelines. First is network security and secure configuration. Network security and secure configuration. What is the meaning of network security? So, to connect from my application in my house, in my laptop, I have to connect to the database which is stored at some other location. So, now my request is going to pass through a network, agreed? And whatever information is going to come is also going to be through a network. So, that network needs to be very secured. Network security and secure configuration. Multi-layer boundary defense. Multi-layer boundary defense. I need to have OTP, my password, login password, my user ID. So, even if one of this is wrong, it will not grant me access to the, grant me access to the app, right? So, multi-layered boundary defense, multi-layer boundary defense. Different LAN segments for in-house, different LAN segments for in-house ATM and branch network bandwidth. So, I need to make sure that this central server is not loaded with so much of data. So there are people who are accessing through multiple channels, right? So this database server should not be loaded with data, right? In order to free up that database capacity, I need to have different LAN segments connecting to the database. Proper usage of routers, hubs and switches. Proper usage of routers, hubs and switches. Periodic security review of systems and terminals. Review the systems and terminals on a periodic basis. Identification of risk. Check if it is within the appetite. The network risk is within the appetite. If you remember the PS fences we studied, PS fences in our chapter 3, yeah. So those controls need to be put in even a banking system. Next is application security, to ensure confidentiality, integrity and availability of the data, okay. Bank specific email domains, for example, I need to have a name, okay. Now this hdfc.com, I need to check if this is very foolproof, yeah, it should not be prone to phishing or malware attacks. Phishing means stealing of data, malware means injecting some virus through this domain name. Need to make sure that the domain name is very safe and secure. Two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication, password and OTP and user ID. Password management policy. Changing the password once in every 3 months, having strong passwords, having some characters, numbers, special characters, capital letters in my password. Training of employees. Training of employees, need to make sure that employees are trained very well to handle the application security. Proper reporting mechanism. Proper reporting mechanism. Due diligence. Access the credentials of the vendors. Access the credentials of the vendors that you are dealing with. Effective change management process. Configuration management process. Change management, in case any updates are happening, ensure how will you handle that. Configuration management process. Define who has access to change the configuration of a system. Configuration of any software is how the software looks like. The menu, yeah, the features or the keys, that the fields that will be accepted. Incident response and management. Capturing logs, capturing audit logs. Continuous surveillance, okay, quickly let's go through this. So we first did was network security and secured configuration, multi-layer boundary defense, different LAN for different terminals, proper usage of all the network assets like routers, hub switches, periodic review of the system and terminal, periodic review of system and terminal. Okay, then we have identification of risk. Next is applications. First was network security, now it is application security. Check the domain name. Two-factor authentication to go into the application. Password management policy. Training of employees. Proper reporting mechanism. Due diligence, change management, incident reporting, incident response and management. Audit logs and continuous surveillance of what is happening through the application system. Clear? Key aspects of CBS architecture. Next question, guys. Key aspects of CBS architecture. Now this architecture, I'm going to read it as architecture. Architecture. Okay. C for customer centric. The banks need to provide the right services to the right person at the right time, customer centric. R for resource utilization. The bank needs to make sure that they do not waste any resources. For example, if there is a bank branch, there need not be an ATM in the next street. Yeah, it can be with the branch itself. Resource utilization. No assets are wasted. Information flow. Information flow. Key aspects of CBS architecture. Information flow needs to be seamless and recorded in the logs. And C is for compliance. Need to make sure that my CBS helps me in compliance. Clear? Clear? Done. Just remember the side headings. The inside you can give a quick read through. Quick. Key aspects of CBS architecture. Architecture. C for customer centric. R for resource utilization. I for information flow. And C for compliance. CBS IT Environment. CBS IT Environment. Okay, so this is an answer with all the points connected to servers, all points connecting to server, whatever you think you can think of. Application server, the main website of the bank. Application server, what we studied, application environment, the same point here. Database server, where the data is stored, database server. ATM channel server, through which we connect to the ATM. ATM connects to the ATM switch and database. Internet banking channel server, internet banking application server. Internet banking channel server, internet banking application server. Web server, proxy server and antivirus server. Web server, proxy server, antivirus software server. Okay. Now let us go, what is web antivirus software servers? We'll go from the last point. Antivirus software server is it needs to give protection to all the terminals connected to the central database. So this antivirus software needs to be installed at all terminals that can connect to the database. Clear? Proxy server. What is the meaning of proxy server? If I want to access a website, yeah, this proxy server will act, it's like firewall. It will grant me indirect connection to that other website, other network. It will help me connect to the other network. Proxy server, web server, web server. So in a banking app, when you open, it's not just the bank page that you see other sites link also, other links or other pages also. For example, if you want to invest in PPF, yeah, if you want to get a loan, yeah, you see so many tabs on how the website of the bank is going to look like and how each of these websites are going to be linked to third-party websites, because I need to make sure that because there's a link, there is a possibility of some virus or malware coming through that link. So I need to make sure that this is safe. Internet banking channel server, internet banking application server. Internet banking channel server, internet banking application server. So my channel server, it has a list of my user ID and password. It has a list of my user ID and password. Internet banking application server is the app through which I go in. It asks the channel server whether the user ID and password that she has entered, is that correct or not? If yes, please send her an OTP. Okay, so this application server communicates and connects to the channel server to get the data and validate the data. Clear? ATM channel server. ATM channel server connects to something called as ATM switch. Now ATM switch has a file called positive balance file. Positive balance file. Why is this there? To help the database. So you cannot load so much of work on the central database. So what central database does is, at the end of the day, it gives every customer's positive balance file to the ATM, and from that file the ATM can see the balance and grant money. See the balance and grant money. So ATM channel server. Database server, the server that stores in all the other servers within itself, the database server. Application server, the entire application environment. Clear, guys? Again, this is a very important question. The previous question, key components of key technology components was the previous one. Now ABCDF. This is CBS IT environment. Please be careful with the question and answers here. Don't get confused between the order. CBS IT environment, where all servers are there. IT environment, all servers. Next is implementation of CBS. The code word for this is PASD, past TIM SUA. Past TIM SUA. PASD, TIM SUA. That's the code word for this. Now P stands for planning. I need to plan, get approval, yeah, selection, design or develop. Design and develop or procure. I need to make it in-house or I need to procure, okay. Testing, implementation, maintenance, S for support, update, support updates, and audit it. Audit the CBS. Clear? Past TIM SUA. Implementation of CBS past TIM SUA. First, plan what is the kind of CBS you need, for what functions you need CBS, where all you need to connect it to the branches. Approval. Get approval from the board of directors. Select the best model of there are various CBS, right? Finacle has, Oracle has, there are other CBS also. Select which model is best suited for your bank. Design, design and develop or buy it. Design and develop or buy it. Testing, I need to test it for the transaction, implement it in my bank. Maintenance, support, updation and audit. So maintenance means my regular AMC, need to make sure that CBS is working fine, the processing is happening as decided. Support, to check if any external support is needed. Updation, updation means to update the CBS software with any technological or business changes, developments that have happened. For example, I've added 7 more services in my portfolio, so I can have that inserted, updated my CBS with that. Some business functions have changed. For example, you cannot give loans beyond a certain amount. Okay, whatever are these business functions, I need to update that in the system. And finally, get all of this audited. Clear? Risks associated with CBS. Important question again. So in this revision class, we're doing things, the very important concepts very quickly. Okay, so I hope you're all with me and the same pace. Risks associated with CBS. The code word for this is SIMCO, SIM card company, hired Priyanka Chopra for their advertisement. Okay, so SIMCO, PC Lit, AO Music. Now this AO Music, okay. So in that ad, there was also some music, AO Music. So SIM company hired Priyanka Chopra and they had a jingle in their ad, which was AO Music. Okay, SIMCO, PC Lit, AO Music, AAAO Music. Clear? Let us see what this is. Risks associated with CBS. Okay, under that, the main risk associated with CBS would be the SIMCO. Strategic risk, IT risk, market risk, credit risk and operational risk. SIMCO. Strategic risk, IT risk, market risk, credit risk and operational risk. What is the meaning of strategic risk? Cannot reach the goal, cannot reach my goal, and the business risk of earnings declining. My earnings have declined. So that is the strategic risk. IT risk, it is the risk related to data center. Market risk. So now when I have deposits of the customers, a little of that deposit I give away as loans. Okay, and a little of deposits that I have remaining, I invest it in the market. I invest in some government securities, I invest in equities, I invest in companies. So in that case, the market risk means that the value of my trading has come down. Yeah, my portfolio has come down due to market performance, market risk. Or it could mean that RBI has reduced the interest rate. Okay, RBI has reduced the interest rate. So what my income will reduce. Market risk. Credit risk. People are not paying up on time. Credit risk. Operational risk. Operational risk means risks due to failed internal controls. The internal controls in the entity have not been performing well. So, there is then operational risk due to failed internal controls. Please recollect, we did this in chapter number 1 also. Yeah, business risk. Under business risk, we did a couple of risks which included strategic and operational risk, right? So, under operational risk, we have PC Lit, and under IT risk, we have music. Yeah, so the main branch is the risks associated with CBS. So, you need to make sure what's the question, okay? Risks associated with CBS, then the code word is SIMCO. If they are asking what is the operational risk associated to CBS, in that case the code word is PC Lit. We'll see what that is. And if they are going to ask standalone what are the IT risks associated with CBS, then the code word for that is AO Music. Okay, let us look at operational risk, PC Lit. People risk, compliance risk, legal risk, information security risk and transaction processing risk. People risk, compliance risk, legal risk, information security risk and transaction processing risk. So, under people risk, there could be some people who are not unhappy with the bank, there could be some people leaving the company, yeah, on both the sides, client side and employee side, people risk. Compliance risk. So, if the banks do not comply with their mandatory compliances, they have to face a lot of fines and penalties, compliance risk. Legal risk, taking the bank to the court for some selling of some schemes that the customers thought it was fraudulent. Yeah, information security risk, security of the information systems, information security risk, and Transaction processing risk. If some person has inaccurately entered any data, okay, or entered inaccurate data or entered data inaccurately. Both ways it is transaction processing risk, because if the information entered is wrong, then the reports that are going to come are going to be wrong. People risk, compliance, all of this is operational risk due to failed internal control. Failed internal control. Next I have IT risk. Okay, so this is a sub branch, and of that we have other points. So IT risk, RO music. Okay, under AAA, A is for access control. Determine who can access, who has the access rights to access my systems, my information systems. Authorization process. Check if they are supposed to add any user ID, password. Authentication process. Check if they are eligible to access a particular application or do a particular transaction. So this deals with user ID, password. This deals with access rights based on access rights matrix. Okay, access controls, authorization process, authentication process, ownership of data. Define ownership of data so that you can understand who is responsible for it, and responsibility and accountability. You can establish that if you understand the ownership, understand and define the ownership of data. Maintaining response time. Okay, there are so many requests coming on to the CBS. Imagine I ask the CBS for balance, my account balance. Okay, can it show to me after 3 hours? No, it needs to be showed to me immediately. So maintaining response time. Okay, so you have to have proper load balancing softwares and all that, so that the response time is maintained. User identity management. Okay, it's due to with password management, user identity management. Several software interfaces. So now CBS is linked with a variety of terminal software interfaces. You need to ensure or make sure that the CBS is performing well despite being linked to so many software interfaces. It could be from the vendor side, could be from so many customers side, right? Incident handling process. In case something has happened, what is the hierarchy on who should I go report to? Change management. If there is any change, how is that handled through the system? How is that documented? Is that monitored? Is that done by an authorized person? Clear? IT risk, AO music. Clear? Risk associated with CBS, under that SIMCO. Okay, under that operational risk, PC lit, and IT risk is AO music. I hope you got the abbreviations right. Information security process. The code word for this is information security. So DON PAPU. DON PAPU is the code word for this. D, and all the points are ending with security, ending with the word security. Clear? D for database security. D for database security. O for operating system security. The database needs to be secured. O for operating system security. N for network security. Have proper proxy servers, firewalls, VPNs, network security. P, policy, information security policy document. Policies, practices. In that you should have no disclosure agreements with employees and KYC of customers. No disclosure agreements with the employees and the KYC agreements of the customers. Physical security. Okay, physical security means the computer where gives access to my CBS, that needs to be protected. So physical access needs to be protected. For example, disabling of USB ports. Application security, configuration and event logging. User security administration. Who has access and all of that, right? So DON PAPU. D for database security, O for operating system security, N for network security, P for policies and practices. So information security policy. Okay. PA, A for PAPU, application security, P for physical security, and U for user security administration. Clear? Can we quickly do the risks and controls with respect to information security? risks and controls with respect to information security. So now we just did information security process. Now we are going to do risks and controls. Okay, so information resources, risks are they are modified, they are unavailable, or they are disclosed to others. Okay, so controls would be have a super user access, which means my super password or some high level password. So information resources can be modified. Someone can go into the system and change the data. Unavailable, denial of service, or disclosed to an unauthorized person. Management, this is information resource based on management. They can have lack of direction for the company and commitment to protect the resources. They may not be fully committed or invested in protecting the information system resources of the bank. So for that I need to have security policies in place, and these policies I need to monitor the compliance that are actually happening with the main security policy that is there in place. That will help me also put people accountable in their jobs. Data, loss of CIA, loss of confidentiality, integrity, availability, modification of data, denial of service, and virus, inserting virus in the data. The controls could be access restrictions, access privileges, have a network diagram, review it, and update the network diagram. Okay. So information resources, management, if you remember the particulars, you will be able to remember the risks and controls as well. So risks and controls with respect to information security. First is information resources, next is the management who is there, third is the data which is there in the resources, fourth is the system. Okay, loss of data or environmental, the actual physical system, loss of data or environmental threat. For that you need to have physical controls and environmental controls. User accountability, not established, for which I need to have a unique user ID. Password. Okay, it is cracked by an unauthorized user. My password is cracked because I have a very easy password, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, cracked by the unauthorized user. So I need to have proper password management, which means strong password, change it every 6 months, 3 months, whatever. And seventh is security. There could be a security breach for which I need to have access logs so that I can check who has done that, I can detect the error. Clear? Clear with the risks and controls with relation to information security. Risks and controls with relation to information security. Let us see quickly. First is information resources, second is management, third is data, fourth is system, fifth is user accountability, sixth is password, and seventh is security breach. Clear? Next, internal controls in banks. What are the internal controls? Internal controls in banks. Earlier what we saw was risk. Now we are moving to controls. Internal controls in bank, there needs to be segregation of duties. Make a checker concept. One person doing the transaction, other person approving it. Job rotation. You've seen so many of the parents, they move from one place to another because they are working in a bank. Job rotation. Powers needs to be fixed. Okay, it needs to be documented and fixed. Internal audit needs to be carried on. Fraud prone items needs to be kept in proper custody. Branch manager to report compliance. So branch manager is a very important person. He needs to report that everything in his branch is working fine. Books to be balanced. Your debit credit books are to be balanced with what is there in the system. For example, in the system, the limit for giving loan is 120 lakhs. 1,20,000. But I have given a loan for 1,50,000. Actually, I've given the money, yeah. So this 30,000 difference. Okay, so books are to be balanced with the actuals. Clear? Internal controls in bank, make a checker, job rotation, powers are fixed. Internal audit, fraud prone items. Branch manager to report compliance, and books are to be balanced. Okay, now IT controls in bank, what we did earlier, what AAO music was IT risk. Now we are doing IT controls. Need to have a log. I need to have a supervisory password for if anyone wants to access a dormant account, an account which has been inactive for a very long time. I need to have a supervisory password if anyone wants to access an exceptional situation. End of the day ledger, to view that or to update that, need to have supervisory password. I need to check what is the drawing power in every account. Is the withdrawal equal to the drawing power? Balance in the lien account. Balance in lien account. Need to check what is the lien amount there and what is the balance. Access out of office hours. Okay, out of office hours, if anyone is accessing the bank, need to check that. And finally, I have user timeout and my role-based access controls. Role-based access controls. Clear? IT controls in bank. IT risk is AAA music. IT controls in a bank is log and supervisory password, right? Now, application software. Configuration, master, transaction and reports. Configuration, master, transaction and report. What is the meaning of configuration? How the entire software looks like. Okay, what are the menus in the software? Who gets access to change the menus of the software? Define access rules, role-based access controls. What is the type of the user? What is the type of the user? Is it a branch manager? Is it an employee? Yeah. Customer type and deposit type. Customer type and deposit type is also mentioned in the configuration. Password management is also a part of the configuration. Password management. Master. The three types of master that possible in a bank or widely used is customer master, employee master and income tax master. Customer master for the clients, employee master for the employees of the bank and income tax master for the regulatory compliances. Clear? Transactions, deposit transaction, someone's coming and depositing money with me, advanced transactions, ECS transaction and general ledger transaction. ECS transactions and general ledger transactions. Clear? CMTR. CMTR. Configuration, master, transaction and report. R for report. Now this reports, I need to make sure that it is standard in nature, it is periodic, on demand. Summary of transactions of date, general ledger, activity logs, management information system report, performance report, exception report. Okay, so many periodic reports. Just a one glance through should be enough. Report. Then we will meet in the next learning unit.